In the interest of time, I'm going to start doing my makeup and then we can chat about how this whole video came about. A couple of you have already seen it because I uploaded it and I was trying to add like the links to other videos and I was so frustrated. I'm talking about my monthly roundup and empties, you guys. I'm starting from, you know, the middle of the story. Let me start from the beginning, taking my Inglot Eyeshadow primer. So I came back from Bulgaria. We had an absolutely wonderful time there. The weather was gorgeous. I had such a blast. I was out, you know, in the sun pretty much every day, which honestly for late fall around these parts here is really a luxurious gift. Anyway, fabulous time, we're back. This is a new dress that I bought there. It is gorgeous. It's just a simple like pencil dress, but I really love the detailing here with the buttons. We got back and trying to be the diligent YouTuber that I am, I thought, you know what, it's been like almost half a year since I've done a monthly roundup and empties. Let me film one. I'm going to make a mix of my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shades 3N1 and 2N1. So I filmed it. It was a really long video because, you know, if I haven't filmed one in months, there's a lot to talk about and I had a lot of empties too. And the video, you know, I took a really long time to film it, but it was a Saturday evening, I was not in a hurry, it was all fine. The best thing in the world was that Mona was there in the background, being an absolute delight throughout the whole video. She just kept changing from one cute position into the other and I thought, best video ever. Even if you don't hear a word that I said and you were just looking at her, I'm sure you had a fabulous time. And then it took me like 5 evenings, because I usually edit my videos in the evenings after work. It took me, I think, 4 or 5 evenings to actually edit the video. Obviously huge files, because I think the original footage was over an hour and the actual video was about 50 something minutes. Anyway, the video exports. At one point I check, it's all going fine, 3/4 of it are already exported, happy times. And then at one point I get a notification from my laptop that I'm running out of space. And I checked whether the export is finished and I thought, okay, great, now I can actually delete the footage from my iMovie library because they just take up a lot of space and, you know, I don't have super much space on my laptop. I have a lot of space, but these videos as RAW files are really big. We're talking like, I don't know, easily 20 to 30 gigs, something like that. So I thought, okay, great, I can delete the raw footage because I already have the exported video. I started uploading the video to YouTube. The video uploaded suspiciously quickly. And I thought, you know, great, maybe today I have a substantially better internet connection than other days. Didn't think anything of it. None of it seemed anywhere near suspicious to me. And then I uploaded the video and I thought, oh, wait, I forgot to put some of the cards, you know, that link to other videos of, you know, specific videos, dedicated videos to some of the products I mentioned in my monthly roundup. And then I went to put on the links to the videos and I saw that the video was 24 minutes and I was like, why can I not get to like the whole video? What's going on? And then I went to check and then I noticed, but that was after I had already uploaded it, okay? I noticed that there's only like 20 something minutes uploaded to YouTube. And then I quickly made it private again because I realized that the export had gone wrong. iMovie hadn't exported the whole video, just like a part of it. And then the sweet, innocent little angel that I am, a dummy that didn't think to even check whether the export went fine, even though there was an obvious technical issue going on. I uploaded it, I deleted everything, especially like the edited version of the video. That was gone. I decided to like basically wipe clean my iMovie library and strip it to the bare minimum so that my laptop stops complaining about a lack of storage. For my concealer, I'm still going to do a bit of a mix of the Bendy Avocado in the shade 3 and my Dior Forever Skin in the shade 1N. By that time, I think a lot of you were still able to start watching the video, and a lot of you could still follow the link from the notifications and watch whatever part of it was uploaded. So like some of you have watched the video, some of you commented on it, and you are so sweet, you guys. All of you were very encouraging, all of you enjoyed the part of the video that was uploaded. And you totally made my day. You have no idea how grumpy I was with myself when I realized what a rookie mistake I had made. I hope that this does not happen again. And next time I will take a note, and if something like this happens, before I go on a purge deleting files, especially like edited files, I'm going to make sure that the video actually exported correctly. And I would have noticed immediately just by the size of the file, because when you start exporting in iMovie, iMovie immediately tells you how big the movie is going to be. And the video that I started uploading was supposed to be about 8 gigs. I'm sure that if I just checked what the exported version was, I would have noticed immediately that it's like half the size, and I would have immediately realized that it had gone wrong. But, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda, too late. Anyway, I'm over it now. I cannot even think about in any way, shape or form like redoing that video, because it took me so long to film. Not to mention that the portion of the video which was my empties, impossible to refilm because I tossed the empties, so I can't really show them to you. But honestly, you didn't miss anything too interesting. A bunch of skincare things, a few not incredibly interesting makeup things, but most importantly, and I'm going to brag about it again, I panned one of my Liz Eldridge glosses. Okay, now, so the idea for this video is that I'm going to use some of the products that I mentioned in that original Roundup and Empties video, not all of them because we're talking about a lot of products here, but like a number of them, so that those of you who didn't get the chance to watch the video can still enjoy a little bit of the Roundup portion of the video. And then in November, I'm going to get back on schedule. I am back to NL now. I'm NL bound for hopefully at least 3 to 4 months, possibly longer. So I will have time to get back to those videos, but I think right now, you know, in terms of timing and other videos I want to film, I'm just going to leave the monthly Roundup and Empties to chill, and I'm going to go back to it in November, and I'm just going to do it for the month of November. And you know, through the course of time, I'm probably going to go back to the products that I had addressed in that now deleted video. Anyway, one of the products that I had talked about is the new Prada, gosh, why can I never remember the name of this? The Prada Rebalancing Setting Powder. The mint green one. I absolutely love this powder. As you already heard in my original review video for this powder, I think it is one of the best luxury powders I have ever tried, because I love the slightly color correcting quality from like that greenish hue. I love how undetectable on the skin this is. It never makes my skin look anywhere remotely dry. It just like sort of makes my skin appear like a little demi-matte, and then throughout the course of the day it gets really glowy and really healthy, and I absolutely love it. I don't look ever like a grease ball. Love this powder. Now I will say this because I probably forgot to mention it in my original video. It's a luxury product, so there is a scent to it. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the case for all luxury products. Unfortunately, they have a scent to them. It doesn't bother me, but you know, I have like crocodile thick skin. Very few things are really going to cause any sort of a reaction on my skin. If that happens, then something truly atrocious is going on with the product. But I love this powder. I can only highly recommend it. Now, a product that it's not that I don't recommend it, I just think you need to be aware of who this product works for. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see this part because I showed it together with an empty. I showed it together with an empty of my Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. So this is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. This is the kind of product, you know, a transparent gel which sets your brows and you can achieve that laminated brow effect. Now, this is a really nice product if you don't have very thick coarse hair like I do. I have really thick coarse hair. It's really difficult for any sort of product to really get my hairs to set in place, and I just feel like it takes me a lot longer to do my brows with this product, and I feel like I'm going through it really fast. So I personally am not going to repurchase this, and I also absolutely hate the spoolie. It's like this flat spoolie with the brush parts on the sides, and I just don't get it. So I think this product is good because it's a transparent gel. It's a much thinner texture compared to the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax, and I think if you don't have really coarse, unruly hair, you're really going to like it. However, me having the, you know, difficult to work with brows, I prefer the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax because it is like cement. If you put it on your brows, it just cements your brows in whatever shape you want them to be. It just works a little bit better for my brows, but it does have the downside that it's white in color, it's much thicker, it's much waxier, and if you don't brush it out, you are going to see residue left on your brows when the product sets and dries. Whereas I've never had experience with the Benefit product that you can see any sort of residue. Moving on to bronzer, a product that I've really been enjoying is the Makeup by Mario, so what is this again? Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. This is a cream bronzer. I really enjoy this product. I enjoy the tone, I enjoy the formula. I think it looks really flattering on the skin. I think it's a beautiful undertone because it doesn't lean too warm. It's not really like a bronzy color, it's more like a bronzer kind of color. So especially now in the winter months when I'm leaning more towards neutral and cooler looks, I'm going to get a lot of use out of this bronzer. Additionally, my skin looks a little bit drier in the winter, and this is a beautiful dewy formula. Now, because it's a dewy formula, it might not be for everyone. I think one of the tricks to make a product like this a little bit less emollient is to just use it with a very densely packed synthetic brush, because that takes away a bit of the oil. I am not super fond of Mario's packaging. I think it rings a little bit cheapy in my experience. I don't know whether it's because it has like that matte finish here and I associate glossy with a slightly more, you know, luxurious experience. I have no idea, but something about the packaging of these products is not quite luxurious to me, but that's like a very small complaint. For the rest, I think his cream, you know, bronzer and also the blush are really gorgeous as like products. So the blush in question here is the Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in the shade Barely Blushing. It's basically the same formula as the bronzer, and I really enjoy the color because this is a beautiful like neutral rosy color. I am going to apply a light layer of this because I want to set it with a powder blush that was also in my Roundup and Empties, and I think kind of fits the tones of this one. But if you wanted to build this up, you would just be building it up to be like a really beautiful neutral rosy shade. I just enjoy both the formula and the color of this blush. Now, before I go on to apply the powder blush and my powder highlighter, which by the way I originally even forgot to mention in the roundup portion of the video, like I completely blanked out on it, I'm going to sort of reset a little bit with powder because I don't want to apply a powder over like this emollient texture. I think that might be a mistake. So I'm just going to take my brush on which I had the powder. I'm actually not going to take any extra powder. I'm just going to go over because I think that's enough to sort of set the two cream products on my face. Okay, and now for my blush, I'm going to take one of the new Chanel Joux Contrasté Intense blushes. Mine is in the shade Rose Radiance. These were all the rage a couple of months ago. They are this beautiful like cream to powder formula, slightly putty, but not really putty. And this is a beautiful color. This is, in my opinion, the slightly deeper and spicier version of blush. I don't know if you heard that, that was Mona. I think it's like the slightly spicier, deeper version of the shade from Mario, the blushing, no, the Barely Blushing shade. So that's why I think they are going to work really well together as a cream plus powder. That's not something I usually do. I prefer to stick to one product, but I wanted to show you the Chanel blush as well, and I wanted to mention that I am really enjoying it. This is a very buildable formula. So if you are very heavy-handed with blush, but you're very pale, and you always struggle to get the right amount of blush on your face, I really think you're going to like these because they are super buildable. You cannot go wrong. They are very smoothing on the skin. Just a very sophisticated, luxurious formula that I think no one can go wrong with. The only thing is that because of the formula, I don't know if you have a very deep skin tone, how this is going to translate, it being so, not gently pigmented, but so buildable. Because what you're seeing here as a color, I feel like is not quite how it translates on the skin. I think you have to build it up quite a bit for it to translate that way on the skin. Like even on my skin, I have to build this color up, or at least that's been my experience. I'm curious what you guys think, because I know a lot of you also purchased a bunch of these blushes. So I'm very curious if some of you have a deeper skin tone than mine. How are you getting along with the Joux Contrasté from Chanel? Okay, for highlighter, I'm going to take one of these new Gucci highlighters in the shade Opal Pink. And this is the product that, excuse me, this is the product that I actually originally completely even forgot to mention in that video. It just like floated out of my brain. And I think the reason for that is because it is just so forgettable. There is nothing special about this highlighter, not in terms of packaging. The packaging is fine, but we've been spoiled by Gucci Beauty with much more luxurious, you know, interesting, creative packaging. So this is honestly quite boring to me. And the actual highlighter is indeed quite a putty formula. You can see here my finger imprints when I was like pressing into the formula, because I originally didn't realize that this was a putty formula, and then I saw the lipstick gal review it and she mentioned it, and then I thought, wait, these are not like a powder, these are like a, again, that cream to powder putty type of formula, but they're much more squishy compared to the Chanel blush. So the highlighter, is it a bad highlighter? I don't think so. It's again a very buildable formula. I think the lighter shades, I've even heard complaints about the lighter shades that they barely show up and they barely provide any sort of highlighting effect. I have to say, if you don't like really blingy highlighters, then you're probably really going to like this, because it's not a super blingy highlighter, but I think you can build it up to be blingy. And it doesn't look unflattering on the skin, it doesn't like emphasize texture. Not my favorite color, it's just a little bit too cool leaning. I was hoping for it to be like more like a warm rosy shade, and it's really more like a icy rosy shade, which is not my preference. But this was a Charlotte made me buy it, and it's the first time that I'm really regretting a product that I've purchased off of Charlotte's recommendation. Usually she's a good guide for me to buy products that I'm really going to enjoy, but this is the first time that I thought this is a product that she seemed to really enjoy, and I'm like, I find this to be quite mediocre. Finally, I'm just going to set all the products on my face with a little bit of Fix Plus on my Real Techniques sponge, and then we can do a little eye look. For the eye look specifically, it was hard to choose what to do because I had a lot of things to mention in my roundup and empties portion. So I'm going to try to use a couple of the products that were mentioned in that video, but obviously we're not going to be able to use all of them. I think most notably, I'm not going to be able to use the Lisa Eldridge Fawn Palette or the Liquid Silk eyeshadows. I have used them quite a bit in the past, I really enjoy them, but I can always mention them in my November roundup. One of the products that I purchased early on in the summer and I really have been enjoying, and it was in my monthly roundup and empties for these past couple of months, is the Lancome Quint in the shade Nude Sculptural. This Quint formula from Lancome is one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, besides the Baked Gelée formulas that are offered by Guerlain, for example. I think I still stand by my luxury eyeshadow ranking video that I did in collaboration with B.O.B. Mindset last year, where I ranked my Guerlain quads in the first position, and then I think it was the second position that I gave to my Lancome Quints. They're a different formula, they're more like that cream to powder formula, but I absolutely adore them. I think there's something so magical about the way these translate on the eye and how flattering of a texture they are on the skin. I'm going to go first into this deep brown shade here, and I'm going to trace my lashes. Lash line here sort of has like a faux liner, just to give definition there. I took this palette with me when I went to my congress in the beginning of September, together with a couple of Lurex, like the liquid Lurex shades from Lisa Eldridge, and I had such a grand time making neutral but impactful looks. This is the kind of palette that has your back if you're in a hurry in the morning but you want to throw something on and look really put together. I really love the tones of these shades. They're not too warm, they're not too cool, they're, you know, beautiful nude shades. Next I'm going to grab a somewhat fluffier brush and I'm sort of going to mix these two shades together. So this one is like a rosy terracotta and this is like a neutral brown shade. And I'm just going to mix these two and apply them on my lids and blend through the crease. I will usually use one of these like mid-tone shades as a lid shade, because I love how they look on the skin. I don't know whether it is coming across on camera, how it immediately like blurred my eyelid. Like it immediately has that beautiful filter blurring effect. I cannot even tell you how much I love this formula. I think some of you have already tried it and you share my fascination and love for it, but those of you who haven't tried it, I cannot recommend enough that you go and pick one of these little quints from Lancome, and trust me, you are going to love them. You're not going to love them if you're someone who wants really like impactful eyeshadows and impactful metallics in particular, because these are not going to offer you any sort of like significant impact if you want bling, which is why I usually use them in combination with palettes which provide the bling. There is a really pretty metallic shade here in the middle, like this champagne, but yeah, it is a nice shade. It has a bit of a shine to it, but on the lid it goes on very softly. You're not going to have a lot of like glitz and glam. I'm going to take this somewhat deeper brown here to use on my lower lashes, and then we can step away from this palette and move into the bling. I think my only hesitation with recommending nude sculptural would be if you have really cool tones to your skin and you want these to not pull warm. I have the feeling these might pull warm on you. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to put the absolute tiniest bit of glitter glue in my inner corner and lightly on the lid, like on the moving lid, so that we can apply the metallic eyeshadows over a bit of a glitter glue. And I'm using my NYX glitter glue, by the way, just the usual. Putting a little bit in the inner corners and then just tapping a light amount here on my moving lid. And for my moving lid, like I mentioned, I'm going to use one of my Bobbi Brown quads. These are the Glow with Love quads that were released in the summer. This is the shade Milky Way. I also have the shade Starcrossed. I absolutely love both of them. But what's not to love? You know, the packaging is truly a luxurious experience. These are so gorgeous. They are much more luxurious feeling than the Blitz Astral quads from Pat McGrath Labs, even the original ones. But this is essentially a quad of Blitz Astral shades. What's not to love here? And they're really beautiful eyeshadows. So today I'm going to make a mix of the shades Lunar and the dupe for VR Nectar, Incandescent. So this shade here is a one-on-one dupe for VR Nectar from Mothership to Sublime. So I'm going to mix these two and just apply them here on my lids together. I really love mixing and matching these shades to create like sort of like custom duochromy type shades. And they just add such a elegant, beautiful blink to your lids. I love them. If you're a fan of Mother's Blitz Astral formula, you are very well familiar with this formula and you know why we love it so much here on this channel. I am going to now slightly blend everything through the crease, just using the fluffy brush that I had before. Now you could finish off this look to be completely neutral, no pops of anything, no, you know, interesting inner corner shades. However, I did want to show you something that is new. I made an order from Douglas because I wanted to have a backup of my Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax, because like I said, I think I'm going to pan the Benefit one really soon. And this is a Mickey made me buy it. So Mickey from Mickey Car Beauty was reviewing these Chanel Ombre Essentiel eyeshadows a couple of months ago. And in a video she was wearing this specific shade. So this is the shade Jade Facette, which is a beautiful green. And I want to put this shade in my inner corners. I'm going to swatch it in a bit, but I want to put it on my inner corner so that you can also see it. I have one other shade from this range. I have the shade Quartz Fumé, which is a beautiful like olive green. And I have swatched Jade Facette quite a few times in store. I really love the formula of these. They're not baked GLA, they're technically not like a special formula, they are just a powder formula, but there's something so silky and elegant about these eyeshadows when you touch them, and like the way they look on the lids. I wore this eyeshadow with an inner corner yesterday and I can't get enough of it, so I wanted to use it in a look today as well. And something you're not going to see is that VR Nectar type shade from the Bobbi Brown quad does have a bit of like a greenish gold shift. So in certain lighting I am going to have a bit of a green shift on the lids, so that's going to fit very nicely with the inner corners. Now it may look a little bit disjointed, but I promise you in certain lighting later on it's going to look really pretty. Now the shade Jade Facette is a very interesting shade, because I know exactly what you're thinking. You're like, but isn't this shade exactly like the green shade from Bobbi Brown from last year? But it's not. This is a very interesting green that I'm having a very hard time describing. It's like a cross between a mint and a cool gold. It's not quite like a warm green, but it's also not like a blue-based green. It has some, I think, cool qualities to it, but also a little bit of like a warm flip, and I think it is such an interesting eyeshadow. And just for reference, I'm going to swatch the Bobbi Brown shade that I just mentioned. This is the shade Cosmic, which is in the Blitz Astral formula. This was from a limited edition collection last year. By comparison, this shade is a true, you know, blue-based mint green. There are also different formulas because the shade from Bobbi Brown is in that gorgeous Baked Gelée formula, but you can see just like the tones, you can see how much more blue based this is, how much cooler it is in tone compared to this. And still there is a coolness to the undertone of Jade Facete as well. I am absolutely fascinated by this green and I am super happy with it, and I think it just looks absolutely beautiful as an inner corner highlight. I think those Bobbi Brown shades really deserve their sparkle moment, so here is the look with a bit of artificial lighting shown on my lids. I surprised myself too, but apparently I only purchased one lipstick over the summer, and that was the shade Beige Doubly from the fall collection, limited edition collection from Hermes. I really loved the whole look of that collection. I think they did a really good job with the color curation, with like the whole theme, but I think the standout in it is definitely this lipstick. I've watched a lot of videos after the collection was released, and when I purchased this lipstick, I sort of took a chance on it because I originally wanted to get the lipstick that had like the more wine tone to it, but then I thought, oh, what if it is too similar to Velvet Blush from Lisa Eldridge? I don't want to dupe myself. And the description of this was a clay shade with rosy tones to it, and that sounded really appealing to me. It sounded like the kind of lipstick that would look really flattering on me, and I think that is actually the case. But after watching also a lot of reviews from people from the rest of the collection, I really get the impression that Beige Doubly is the real standout here, because it is a beautiful lipstick. The tone of this lipstick is so incredibly flattering. I think the matte lipstick formula from Hermes is very comfortable, very lightweight, a bit creamy on the lips. It never feels uncomfortable, and like I said, it's really lightweight, even compared to Pat McGrath Labs and Lisa Eldridge, which I don't find to be, you know, too substantial on the lips. They're still more substantial on the lips compared to this. This feels feather-like. It's a gorgeous color, and I really think those like pink tones in the clay, in like the base clay color, look very, very enlivening against my skin tone. I really love how this lipstick sort of like immediately lightens up my face. I hope that you enjoyed this video sort of as a substitute for my monthly roundup and empties. I touched on actually quite a few of the products that I have purchased in the last couple of months, so I feel like we have a really good overview of what I bought in the months between July and October. Yes, there were a few notable misses like the Pat McGrath Labs Mega Palette, but like I did 8 videos on that palette, so it's not like you don't know what I think about it, and I'm definitely going to mention it again further on because I really enjoy it. But I think overall we covered quite a few of the products. I'm really happy with how this look turned out. As usual, do let me know what you thought about this look and if you have any thoughts about the products that I talked about, and of course we will see each other very, very soon in my next video. Bye!